Hi, my name's Ashley Mullins, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about my final project presentation on the memoir of Miracle on Voodoo Mountain by Megan Bordeaux. To begin, we're going to discuss Megan Bordeaux's life. So, she is currently 35, and she resides in Lafayette, Louisiana, with her 5 children, as well as her husband Josh. She is the founder and executive director of Respire Haiti, which is a nonprofit organization formed to aid Restivics to gain their freedom in Haiti with a promising future. In her memoir, Miracle on Voodoo Mountain, she shares the story of how she first encountered Restivics and ended up adopting 2 twin girls, one of which is pictured here on the slide, and a son from Haiti. Although this is the only piece of work she's published, it has impacted millions. Next, we're going to talk about the actual memoir, Miracle on Voodoo Mountain. So this takes place in Haiti, and she takes a journey at the age of 24 after she has a dream of a lone tamarind tree. From this dream, she took it as a sign of God to drop her current life and begin anew in Haiti. So that's exactly what she did. Throughout the memoir, she discovers some shocking things about herself, Haiti, and the local orphanage. She continues to turn to God to make life-changing decisions and ends up creating Respire Haiti after learning what the word Restovic means. Restovic is a term used in Miracle on Voodoo Mountain for children that are treated worse than slaves and forced to live with another family for reasons beyond their control. From this, the children could be sold, borrowed, basically not cared for and treated as animals. However, Respire Haiti ends up impacting hundreds of natives and Restovics throughout Haiti and continues to do so today. I chose this memoir because it's based on Megan's first-hand experiences in Haiti. I love true stories, whether it be through a book or a movie or any kind of format. And I'd also read this book for a previous class, so I figured I would enjoy reading it a second time as much as I did the first time, and I did. The reality versus faith here, I enjoyed that this book gave readers a look on the reality of orphan situations in Haiti. I, for one, was not aware of the term Restovics or their situation before this book. However, I'm glad that this book brought the situation to light and awareness has been raised, along with the implementation of programs such as Respire Haiti. One thing I didn't enjoy about this novel is that Megan seemed to turn to God for most of her problems or decisions. I felt as though this took away from some of the realistic aspect of the book. In my opinion, I don't believe that someone has time to ask God to help them make a decision in every situation in their life, especially crisis situations where it's like a hostage or a gunpoint or anything like that. It just didn't seem very logical for the book. Next, I'm going to discuss how the country of Haiti was portrayed throughout the memoir, and I felt it was very negatively portrayed. A quote on page 40 of the novel I have: on the front of the building were open hallways lined with red metal railings stacked on top of each other and overlooking a dusty gray courtyard. This makes me think of the country as under-maintained and dull, thus leading to natives and orphans being unable to take care of themselves adequately. The unpaved roads in the country of Haiti, it's only over like 1/5, which is a shocking statistic to hear, but it contributes to how the country of Haiti is portrayed. As you can see in this picture here, like the roads aren't paved, it's mostly gravel. And it's also expected since they're like a lower socioeconomic third world country. The gourd here on the slide, it's their currency there in Haiti. And I have never seen a a currency outside the United States dollar or coins, but I thought this was interesting to know, considering that the memoir did not share anything about gourd or any of their currency. It's basically like a Canadian French paper dollar, in my opinion. And then lastly, children and education. Since it's required that all school-age children here in America attend school, it's shocking to hear that almost half, like 40%, of Haitian school-age children do not attend school when they could. Next, I'm going to talk about my paper on this memoir. So I wrote on orphan trafficking in Restavix within Miracle on Voodoo Mountain. It's a major part of the plot that Megan encounters firsthand at the local orphanage known as Son of God Orphanage. She even adopts a Restavix that is going to be sold to her by the director of the orphanage before there's a turn of events to stop the transaction. Next, I talked about the portrayal of Haiti and how it's negatively portrayed through words throughout the novel of specific places, as I mentioned on the previous slide. These words can include overwhelming, smelly, unhealthy, anything like that. Orphanages are easily overflowing, and it leads to orphan trafficking situations. These orphans can disappear without anyone truly knowing, and it's hard to tell what happens, whether they're sold, killed. We don't know, but most of the time they're never found. And so that's why it's important to take action and reduce trafficking by raising awareness and implementing anti-trafficking activities. Next, the support and Respire Haiti. There are many organizations that support the organizations or the orphanages, such as Son of God Orphanage in the memoir. But one major organization that has made a change for the better is, of course, Megan Bordeaux's Respire Haiti. As I mentioned before, this is a nonprofit organization that helps Restavix gain freedom and a chance at a healthy future they want and never thought they could have. This organization employs many Haitians and provides basic and educational needs for those Restavix. From this memoir, this is the last bullet point. I learned to follow your gut and trust God. Without Megan following her gut and trusting God about the lone tamarind tree dream, none of her achievements would have been accomplished today. And finally, I wanted to reflect on the research and writing process of my project. To begin, I learned a lot on how to organize my writing and research with this project. It allowed me to put a different culture from my own into perspective and how it differs and mostly differs from ours, but also some similarities. When I first looked at the details for this project, especially the paper, I felt very conflicted on how I was going to organize it, which I feel like is a big thing with most papers I write, but I've just got to get in there and find my groove. I know there was an example paper, but I just like to format a plan that'll best work with my content and my writing style, because everyone's different. But I was surprised with how well I ended up creating a plan for my paper. I actually ended up going back to like 5th grade writing style and making a box with like my thesis in the middle and like 4 different things for 4 different paragraphs, and I ended up with more than 4 paragraphs, but it worked. It worked, so that's all that matters. Overall, this course has taught me to become more culturally aware of my surroundings and the individuals within my environment. I will definitely be more cautious with how I approach others and act towards them, as some acts may be offensive or difficult to understand. Probably the most interesting thing that I learned is that individuals have their own way of life and everyone's different. I never thought that something so routine that I do every single day could affect another individual and they could find offensive based on their culture. And from this, I can say that I've grown globally as a global citizen and to remain open and cautious with everyone that I meet. Thank you for your time.